Welcome to What Shall We Say to These Things.
I'm TJ.
And I'm MJ.
And this is a low-key recap of our low-key ghetto Bible study.
Yes. So we've come to the end of Esther. We've done all 10 chapters. We've looked at things that stood out to us, what lessons we learned about God, and how we should live our lives. And today, essentially, we want to answer a few questions. This was like a pilot project for us.
Mm-hmm.
We were testing out if this was a way that would work for us to study the Bible, to see if it would be an impactful way for us, to see if it's something we would enjoy.
And something we can stick to.
Right. Yeah. There we go as well. So we just want to answer that question today, kind of a response to our first episode about our Bible study experience as young Christians.
Mm-hmm.
How do we start? So this is technically going to be a side conversation. It's unstructured, and we'll see how it goes. Okay, so we were thinking maybe to do a recap of the book, but character by character.
Okay.
This is how TJ was suggesting. So we start with
maybe Vashti.
Vashti.
She has the shortest, what do you call that? Appearance in the book?
Right.
Yeah. I think one of my lessons or maybe one of my points of that stood out to me in chapter 1 was that often people have painted her as not necessarily a villain, but like
the disobedient
she's
wife and queen.
Yeah. But coming into the study, looking at it with new eyes, she's the person I think who from the get-go is who I was like, this is who I need to pattern my life, because I don't necessarily want to marry a king, but who I should be like, because she stood up for what she believed was right, and I'm sure she was aware that there were consequences, that there would have been consequences, and
she would have known her husband,
yeah,
and his ego,
and his advisors.
Well, yeah.
And so I think her making that decision, she may have done it fully aware of what the outcome would have been, but she still did it anyway. And so we never hear of her after. We never hear of her again after her appearance in chapter 1. But for the rest of the story happens because of her decision.
I was thinking about that today, and
I don't want to say it's because of her decision, but her decision influences the rest of it. Like, it sets the backdrop for the rest of the story.
I think her demonstrating that I'll do what I want to do, I'll do what I think is right despite the consequences, sets the tone for the entire book. Because we see this over and over again. This is a theme: integrity, of doing the right no matter the consequences, even knowing that they will be negative. I think her story at the beginning is important because it sets the tone for the rest of the story.
I agree. Yeah. So that was Queen Vashti.
Yep.
Next up, in terms of the length of their appearance in the book, I think would be Haman.
Yeah.
I think he's the next person to disappear of the scene. Like you said in our last recording, you mentioned that some people question the factual basis of the Book of Esther. And I'm like, if this is not a real story, whoever came up with Haman's character did an excellent job, right? He is the bad guy you love to hate. Yes. Like, they have him down to a T. I feel like all villains are based off of Haman. Yeah. We meet him as someone who's being promoted to the king's right-hand man, but very quickly we realize that he is not satisfied with just like mere titles. He wants the honor and the bowing down that comes with it, and he's not willing to make exceptions. And I think that is where the greatest conflict of the entire book comes from, the fact that he wants everybody to bow down. Yeah. Reminds me a little bit of that king from Babylon. Yeah. And I think for me, we see Haman not being merciful. We see him not making exceptions.
And I'm I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, the Jews are citizens of Persia like everybody else, and to target them like that, he's not supposed to be in power. He should not have the kind of power he has if he does not, I guess, have a care for all of his citizens.
Okay.
I just, and that is such a relevant thing to today.
Yeah. Okay. I get you.
I don't think that's changed. That anything much has changed. People in leadership should care about everybody that they're leading, not just specific groups. And so I think, in that sense, nothing has changed. People end up with a lot of power when they not necessarily, they don't necessarily have the best interest of everybody at heart.
Okay, I get you. Yeah, I get you. I think, usually you see people having characters having a growth arc, or there's a turnabout. But I feel like for Mordecai's, his is just that he just got progressively worse. Haman is that he just got progressively worse.
But like, when you're writing a story, they tell you that there are two options. Your character is supposed to come up against a conflict, and they're either supposed to fail miserably or become better for it.
He feels
so. Yeah, they're supposed to answer the question either yes or no. Yes, and so he went no, like
hard no.
I'm not going to be the bigger person. I'll kill all of them.
And I think that is what, like, I could not, like, even when we looked at that specific chapter, to now, I still can't understand how he could have an issue with one man, Mordecai, and think that his issue with this one man, Mordecai, was so huge, was so great that it would justify wiping out an entire population.
No, but you just said he wanted people to bow down. If Mordecai is not bowing down because he's a Jew, I think.
But he's not had an issue that he's not had that issue with anybody else. Other Jews, okay. Right? There's no documentation of him having an issue with anybody else. But there's just this one specific man, and he gets so upset with this one specific man, to the point where after he goes to the first banquet with the queen and the king, and he leaves and he sees Mordecai, and it completely ruins the banquet that he has just enjoyed for him, because this is all he can think about. Yeah, so I think he had issues.
Yeah.
He had serious issues. Yeah. So that was him. And I think in the last recording you made mention of that, and what was it in the recording, or what? I might be mixing things up, but I clearly remember you saying that the honor that Haman planned for himself, Mordecai got, and the demise that Haman planned for Mordecai, he got. Yeah. So be careful what you plan. Be careful what you plan. That was one of my takeaways from you wish people ill, and that ill befalls you, and you wish glory for yourself, and that glory may land with someone else. That was Haman was just a bad guy of all bad guys.
I had a thought, but I lost it.
I don't know what it is. Okay?
It was something to do with Haman, but I don't remember. Hopefully it will come back. Maybe. Okay. Yeah. So Haman fails the test, and I think it had something to do with his punishment. We could also learn from this story that doing bad things could also have bad consequences. So we're wondering if the consequences are even related to what you do at all.
Okay.
Because Vashti does what she thinks is the right thing. But okay, maybe to be fair, Haman thought he was doing the right thing.
For who? Yeah.
Okay. So yeah. So you did
because we assume, right, that Vashti's consequence was a bad consequence for her, right? But we don't know, right?
Like
sis might have just been banished to a tropical island, and she's just been living on the beach sipping coconut water for the rest of her days. So we don't know what her, we know she was banished, but we don't know what she was banished to. We don't know, was it the island of perpetual tickling? We don't know. Shout out to VeggieTales for that reference. But yeah, we don't know. So we don't know. But I think in Haman's situation, there is no way people could have felt justified had Haman not received some kind of disastrous end. Like, I would have tossed my Bible across the road. That's just how I'd have felt about life. Had that. Well, I mean, I don't mean literally.
You literally,
but
okay.
Like,
yeah. Be very, very dissatisfied.
Yes. With life. With everything. Yeah. So that's Haman.
We said Esther is next?
Yes.
She has the typical character arc of being displaying weakness and then rising to the occasion.
I think we've talked about this, that at the very beginning of this book, like, it's interesting that the book is named after her, but she doesn't show up until chapter 2. And she also doesn't show up in chapter 10. So of the 10 chapters in the Book of Esther, Esther is only in 8. Is the Book of Xerxes. She's in all 10. In the beginning, I was judging Sister Esther so hard. So hard. And I think there was some judgment towards Mordecai as well, because he was the one who told her, don't let anyone know she's a Jew. But I judged how long she was able to carry that off. I don't want to necessarily say how well, but I feel like how well as well, because it looks like people did not catch on, right? And I was thinking about it last night, and I'm thinking about it that being a Jew is especially at that time, is multifaceted. It's not just religious practices; they're cultural, meaning like societal, cultural, social practices, and then they're like there would have been language, and there would have been holidays that were observed, and it's like having me to hide both my nationality and my religion. So you put me somewhere new and you tell me, TJ, you can't let anybody know you're from XYZ island. You can't let anybody know that you belong to XYZ religious denomination. And that's a twofold struggle, because it means I have to mask an accent. There's terminology that I have to drop, dialect I have to drop, and then like an entire series of religious beliefs and practices that I have to find a way to go about
hiding.
Not just hiding, not just because it's one thing if it's hiding, but like not practicing. So I think, I don't know how she did that, and I judged her for doing that. Yeah, I judged her hard, and like, yeah, I was judging, but I think we not very quickly in terms of the actual time frame, but in terms of the space of the chapters, we very quickly get to the point where she has to have a revival.
Things have to change in her relationship with God, and I guess inside her. And we see that making a difference. And not we said that as well, that it was not just her personal revival sparked a citywide one as well. And so I think that says a lot, that just one person in a community could bring about a return to God that wide.
And I was thinking about it, because I was like, having put aside your religious practices and beliefs for so long, you have to have a coming back to God before you go forward. Like, can you imagine had she not done that before going to the king? Like, that would have, like, the rest of the book would have been, there might not have been a rest of the book. Like, so we see transformation.
Yes,
we see transformation. And I admired her tact and her diplomacy and her banqueting skills and her stalling. I was like, girl, your life on the line. You inviting them to 2 banquets? Like,
I don't know.
Yeah, so yeah, that's Esther. And I think down to the end of the book, we see her coming into her own, where she is standing with Mordecai. Well, I mean, you don't know what happens.
Yes.
You see her standing with Mordecai,
and essentially leading their people.
Yeah. I think showing goodwill. And to me that was important. It was significant because here is the queen of all Mede and Persia, reaching out to her people. You know, especially after have been hiding that identity for so many years. Here she is like, I'm one of you guys. You know? I got y'all. You know, y'all are safe. Once I'm queen, y'all safe. I'm queen, and my adopted father is right hand man. Y'all good. It's Gucci out here. Yeah. So I think that was a nice thing about for Esther. Can we talk about Xerxes? I've been dying to talk about Xerxes. Xerxes.
He was a little floundering. Like it's not quite an arc. He's like a roller coaster situation.
Yeah. My man was problematic from the get-go. Yeah. Right?
He had issues as well.
You a brand new king, right? And you throw a 6-month party. Like, who is running your country? Like, where is the leadership? What is happening? Are you not afraid that the same way somebody took over Babylon, somebody not gonna come and take over you? Are you drunk? Like, do you not know that history repeats itself? Are you not minding your business? But luckily for him, that peaceful time. It looks like it was a peaceful time. And then after having a 6-month long fete, he then proceeds to hold a week-long party for everybody. Because like the 6-month thing was like the richest of the rich, the elite, the nobles. And then he's like, okay, the wealthy have done partying now. Let everybody else come in. And he was like, y'all can drink as much as you want. It's cool. Like, eat, drink, be merry. And I'm like, and that like from chapter 1, we see he's like a big time show off.
Brother Mans has an ego.
Big time. And then we also see him making bad decisions while he's drunk. We see him taking bad advice. And
losing his wife
in the process. And then turning around and regretting said bad advice that he took while he was drunk, and then getting some more advice and be like, I like this. Let's get all the nice young girls here. Let me pick a bride. And then thankfully he does a good job of picking a bride. No, I don't want to necessarily credit with him with that. I feel like God played a role. Holy Spirit was like, tap on the shoulder, this one. I think you like this one. I think you like this one. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I want to give credit Xerxes with choosing a good wife. I don't no. But he does choose a good wife. And he's so happy that once again he throws a party. That's his MO.
Yeah.
That's his MO. And I think we see like his feelings about the good choice that he made there when he throws the party, but then also when she comes in risking her life.
And he offers her half his up to half his
kingdom. Yeah. And like
multiple times.
He's like, you my wifey. You know, tell me what you want, what you really, really want. I'll give you up to half my kingdom. So I think we see his regard, his love, his admiration for his wife. I think the only time he doesn't actually give her what she wants is when she tells him, please cancel the degree. And he's like, nah, you do that yourself.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think that's the only time he does not outright offer her whatever it is she wants, up to half of his kingdom. Yeah. We do see him make a slight change of not making rash decisions.
Going to take a walk.
When in the second banquet, he goes to take a walk when he gets upset, but that's very short lived because by the time he comes back, he's pissed again, and he's like, "We're gonna do this now. Get it done now." And so that calming and not making decisions while he's upset and rash. Them being rash was a very, very short lived, like you said, a roller coaster. That was a very short lived high for him. He came right back down. But he does continue to make good decisions for the balance of the book, where he makes Mordecai second-hand man. He gives them the permission to write the decrees and lets the Jews defend themselves. And I think the entire book ends with him taxing people. So
Like, after he spent so much money on that first party, you understand his thing would be defeated.
So I think,
and he didn't get the money Haman promised him from killing the Jews.
that's
So
fair enough.
his treasury is
His coffers are a little empty.
Yeah.
So, but I think it was a nice transition for him as well, because we start the book with him partying, and we actually end the book with him showing some signs of leadership, like he's actually doing something. Right, he's actually doing something. So I think that was a nice closing point for Xerxes. It may be Mordecai's influence as his right hand man, we don't know, but like a little good advice can go a long way. Yeah, so I think that was a nice closing point for
Xerxes.
And finally, we have our boy, Mordecai. You know, the book should have been the book of Mordecai. Honestly, like, I feel like it's more his book than Esther's. What shall we say to these things?
Yeah, I think he just had a very it was entertaining. It was satisfying. He just had a very thing story. You know, he's the underdog. He's doing what he thinks is the right thing and being punished for it. Not just him, but all his people. And he just remains. He remains positive. He takes charge. He gives instructions. And he also rose to the occasion as a leader of his people. I don't think that anybody necessarily looked at him like that in that way at the beginning of the story, other than Esther, who has looked up to him all her life. But I don't know anybody would pinpoint Mordecai. Oh, Mordecai is going to be the leader of the Jews over the next 9 chapters. You don't expect that. And he does what he has to do, and he has faith that this is going to work out, whether or not Esther decides she's going to be involved. And like, he just keeps at it, at his work, at his life. He's the epitome of occupy until, and like, things work out, and he's rewarded. He does his job. He protects the king from a murder plot, and then he ends up protecting all the Jews from their execution plot.
Their own murder plots.
Yeah. So, like, there are just so many things to admire about him. His integrity, his leadership, his what's the word? It's not quite perseverance. It's consistency. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Like, you get the feeling that, like, he's not going to easily be bribed. He's not going to be led astray, and this is who he is. This is what he believes, and he's going to live it every day of his life. Yeah.
And you also get the impression that he's not like a pushover, because when it comes down to the Jews defending themselves, we told that many of the leaders of the provinces came to the Jews' aid because they were fearing and respecting Mordecai. Yeah. So it looks like he was that guy. Yeah. You know? He was that guy. Definitely. But I think from the beginning of the story, we get a good look of who Mordecai is, because we're not told that he has a spouse. Like, at no point are we led to believe that he has a spouse. But we're told that when his uncle dies, and his uncle and the wife dies, he adopts Esther. He adopts Hadassah. So we know he's family oriented. We know he does what needs to be done, like, regardless of the situation. He looks out for his people, you know, and he's just a all around good guy.
Yeah, definitely. And you were happy to see him get his reward.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do we rate how many stars would we recommend this story? Should we post a review on Goodreads?
Yeah, I enjoyed I think reading the book like this, a chapter at a time, looking at what stood out to me. I guess this goes into type of somewhat of the method working for me. Applying the method to this particular story. I think it had me processing things that I've missed reading the story so many times over the years, or maybe having watched it in various movie and cartoon adaptations over my life. There were lots of little things that I was able to pick up. Yeah, I never thought of that before. Oh, I didn't see this before. And for me, it read like somewhat like a movie script. I think so. There was some action. There was a bit of betrayal. There was an assassination plot
and suspense.
Like, will the Jews die? Will they be okay? What's gonna happen to Haman? Did he actually fall on the queen's couch? Like, what is Xerxes about to do to him. I think it was just, it was a good, like, even outside of like studying the Bible, I enjoyed the story. I think it was a good story. But then when it came to like a spiritual application, I think it was a great story for strengthening my faith. For like seeing God work in extreme situations. Like I might not be in any kind of extreme situation right now, but it gave me the assurance that like no matter how extreme the situation is, God can allow it to happen, and secondly, God can turn it around. Yeah, that was my big takeaway from the book. And we see it, like we see the contrast. We see Mordecai working at the city gates, the palace gates, and we see him in his ashen sackcloth. And then we see him leaving the king's presence down towards the end of the book in royal colors and wearing a crown. And then we see the Jews who are crying and mourning and fasting when they hear the first decree. And at the end of the book, they're feasting. So we get these nice 180. Would that be 180 flips? Throughout the story, which I think is a beautiful thing. Like God can literally turn things around right now. So.
That's definitely one of the things that has stuck with me. And I was reading my notes, and I think I missed that when we were talking about the end of the chapter. The documenting part about documenting the good things that God has done. If the long ago ones hadn't done that, we wouldn't have the Bible. Yeah. And so I think we can enjoy seeing God come through for people, seeing God write the end of their story with celebration and good things happening to them because somebody back then decided to document. This is this wonderful thing that God has done for me and my people, and I'm going to record it. Yeah. And so that's further solidified
your need to journal.
My need to journal. Yeah. But one of the things I also appreciated about this method is having a partner.
Okay.
Yeah, because I would read the chapter, I'd write down all the things that stood out to me, and like you read the chapter a few times throughout the week, and you think you've pulled out everything from it, and then we come and we have our discussion, and you're talking about things like I'd never seen, perspectives I had never processed, and it just became a whole lot more. What's the word? I don't know what the word is.
I can't help it. I don't know what to talk about.
It was more not. I'm not satisfying. Insightful. Enriching. Than had I done it on my own.
Okay. Yeah. Because it's not just your views and your perspective.
Exactly.
What you pull out, you get a fuller picture.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think that was another beautiful component of this method as well. Having more than one view of the story, while a lot of the times we did come out with similar points. A lot of it was, I hadn't thought about that. I hadn't seen that. So that was nice as well.
And so, I don't know if this is the point we talk about this, but our goal for Bible study has always been transformation.
Okay.
So would you say that this book has changed your life?
Yes, it has, and I think it will continue to while I as I continue to actively work on all the lessons that I plan to.
Oh, you're going to do that?
To implement in my life. Because I think there's some things like there were things like advocacy, and intercession. There's some of them that I honestly don't want to do. I honestly don't want to.
If we're being honest.
I think they're things I should practice. They're things I should implement. Like I feel like those were messages from God to me, like, hey TJ, this is something you should be doing in your life. I feel like most of it was, I'll say all of that, right? But there's some things I think I need to find a way, because some of it I feel like it becomes a strain with my personality type. But I think I still need to find a way to implement some of it, and I think as I continue to implement it, it's going to continue to change my life. But what about you?
There's one lesson specifically, and you're going to be I guess amazed to know who I took it from. But Haman's story changed my life.
Okay.
Haman's story, like I don't know how much of this I could like say without selling people out, but I have been having a negative interaction with a human being for like the past maybe 5 months. And we studied, I was upset, and I it was a conversation I was having with God. Like, why are you allowing this to happen? Like in a sense, I'm like, I don't deserve this. Like, I don't deserve this. And I felt like God was deliberately putting me in line with this person for us to interact. And I was so frustrated. I was like, I don't understand. This doesn't make sense. This is not
This
how.
should not be part of your plan for me.
Right. Yeah. And we studied Haman's story, and we came up with the lesson that Haman let one single man like mess up all the good things he had going for him. And that stuck with me. And so I made the decision. I was like, I am not going to let this human being mess up all the good things I have going on. I am not going to let them interfere with my happiness, and God will have to take care of them. And immediately, the type of interaction never changed, but my reaction to it, my fear, my anger became became less, to the point where they most of the time they're non-existent. My my just the interactions, or fear of the interactions happening, doesn't consume my daily thoughts, and I could just appreciate life on a daily basis. I don't have to think about it. When it happens, I don't spend time thinking about it and being upset about it. And so, while however long the situation continues to exist, I don't have to bear the negative of it. And
Like,
it's all
we kill this person and the entire family.
no, yeah, we don't have to be like Haman, and we could enjoy all the good things that are happening outside of that. And so I'm so grateful that we did look in this deep to the story, and I could have taken that away.
That's not where I thought you were going. But I'm glad that you were able to take that away and that you've been able to implement that. Anything else we need to talk about?
I think we did a recap. I think we answered our first video, and I think that's it. We just, unfortunately, we were supposed to have guests today, but we didn't.
They were like, nope.
Yeah. So we'll see if we can roll them into a side conversation or something. If not both of them, one of them at a time.
I think we might be more successful trying one at a time.
Okay. All right. Yes. We have finished Esther, and so we're going to start another one. We got a recommendation for Ruth, so that's what we're going to be doing next. It's very short. So we will welcome any other recommendations for us to do next. We're looking forward to Ruth. It's another story about a young lady, that I think I don't know if there's an arc, but like, it's an interesting story.
I think there are lessons to be learned.
Yes.
Yeah. I think there are lessons to be learned. So,
there's not as much suspense and bad guys.
I think there's a little bit of suspense when you go into it. But,
okay.
But we'll deal with that when we get to that.
Yes.
So we're inviting you to join us. Well, thank you for doing Esther with us. We appreciate those of you who shared your thoughts with us, who left us comments. And
those who just listened.
Yeah, we appreciate you. And we invite you to join us on the journey into Ruth.
Yes. So we start with chapter 1 next time. We'll come back and talk about that.
Yeah.
Okay, so this has been the end of Esther. This has been What Shall We Say to These Things.
I'm TJ.
And I'm MJ.
And until next time, we're out.